Vampires were the first creatures my ancestors faced. As orphaned youths in the 18th century, Scarlet and Theobald Oldrey were victims in a string of vampire attacks. Family documents claim Theobald was taken and Scarlet encountered a Sons of Men vampire hunter that slayed the monster and brought them into an orphanage of the Order, where Theobald was raised into a paladin. The family fought against dark creatures for 5 generations, facing many vampire types. In general, they considered the Regals most dangerous, easily passing for human, beautiful and charming, with an array of psychological dominating powers. The more horrific and varied rats wore the guise of living corpses, or ferocious animals. Relying mainly on claws and teeth, Morden's breed represented a more monstrous, demon-like variety, also seen in several parts of the world. Given the prevalence of vampire folklore, it's no surprise there are so many hunter stories to match them. My ancestors' first documented encounter with mermaids was being saved by a trio of them from the ensuing flood that followed the slaying of a monstrous sea creature that was apparently a shared enemy. According to his journals, the 3 watched from the sidelines as he, still being a paladin, slew the beast. These human-like creatures are one of the oldest mythological races still believed in by many today. My ancestor described various types of them. The Irish Merrow, or Scottish Sisk, seeming most in kind to the common conception. But they did not always wear the faces of beautiful women. Often they were described as taking on much more monstrous appearances when angered, even so far as to be mistaken for demons. The Scottish Selkie was another, somewhat similar creature, though it was more of a shapeshifter, taking the form of seals. My great-grandfather claimed that siren songs followed him across the Atlantic when immigrating here. He spent the rest of his life tracking reports in Florida. Satanic cultists were one of many near-consistent threats my ancestors faced. This is not in reference to the modern-day, mostly politically motivated atheistic followers of Satanism, nor the countless innocent pagan witches scapegoated and persecuted throughout history, but actual flesh and blood worshippers of the Christian devil, Lucifer, who worked to do his bidding on earth, a tradition dating back roughly as far as any other form of religion rooted in Christian mythology. My ancestor Harold Oldrey notably faced off against them on Blaculla Island in the 19th century, as I've covered in several videos. However, the conflict continued well into the modern era with Harold's grandson, my great-grandfather Leopold. He wrote about observations of contemporary activity connecting various historical cults, including previous followers of Maria Danilowska, a famed Russian occultist and satanic follower, who founded the Brotherhood of the Golden Arrow, and regularly practiced satanic rituals. Herbert Sloane, the founder of Our Lady of Indercoven, was also present. His cult, which began in the 1940s, claimed to be Gnostic Satanists, and was named for the biblical witch of Endor. It was also connected to the founding of modern Satanism under Anton LaVey. Leopold pondered in his journals on the possibility of people of LaVey, true believers using this age-old concept of pretend Satanists for a twofold purpose, convincing thousands to pledge themselves to an organization in Satan's name, and creating a knee-jerk reaction to doubt the reality of any such belief. The fair folk, or fae, were another type of supernatural being my ancestors interacted with during their generations' long tradition of thwarting supernatural threats. Among my many heirlooms was a case of protective items for fae encounters. What they knew came from both the Catholic order, the Sons of Men, that trained and armed them, as well as a druid which named Bridget, heavily associated with the Celtic goddess that shared her name. She gifted the family a seed of a fae tree that remains on our property to this day. Real fairies took many forms, including childlike, or fully grown and enchantingly beautiful, and even monstrous, mostly when angered. Human interactions with them range from sage-like advice, to unintentional harm from over-curiosity, to terrifying infestations similar to hauntings or poltergeists which they are often mistaken for. This has led many to declare them demons, which my family has also dealt with various types of. Another question about my family's history I often get pertains to poltergeists, the loud spirits of numerous mythologies. wondering what they truly are and how to deal with them. The information available online is sparse and vague, referring to them as little more than spirits. According to the writings of my ancestors, there are actually several distinct entity types described with this word. The most common simply being angry spirits, usually for having suffered a traumatic death. The same type of activity can also indicate the early stages of demonic infestation, shortly preceding demonic possession. It has at times been attributed to witchcraft as well, though this was likely scapegoating or mistaken cultists. Most interesting and frightening are the angry fey creatures taking up residence in homes, often for having been built where humans are unwelcome. To take back a home, one must first figure out what exactly infests it.